Welcome to the Phoenix Prosperity Podcast, where wealth meets legacy. Join your host, Tim Fergestad, as we explore the journeys of Phoenix's finest to success and beyond.
Hello, this is Tim Fergestad. Thank you for joining us. I'm very pleased to have Dean Cantrill with me here today. Dean has over 20 years of senior leadership experience, ranging from simple management roles to vice president, general manager roles for large defense and aerospace companies. He's president of Tangible Improvement, where he helps implement continuous improvement culture in more traditional businesses that desire to become world-class organizations. Welcome to the show, Dean.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right. So can you give us a snapshot of your business right now?
Yeah. So, it's ironic that folks that have roles like I had, I really worked hard to progress, and I'm a bit of a niche. The defense industry, once you're in that, some other markets don't really welcome you. The old
really
$500 hammer, they think that's, that's all kind of deal. But when you get to a certain level and you're in that corporate world, then suddenly the corporation takes another turn and you become a consultant. And I had probably about almost 10 years ago, I was building a team for the company I was working for, doing continuous improvement. We were consolidating sites. I was learning all kinds of fun stuff, and I really enjoyed that. So when that role ended and the whole group of people I worked with, they decided the company didn't need us anymore, I went on to consult, and I kind of pulled in some of those folks I had hired, and we went around helping other businesses do what I was doing for the company I was employed with. So life takes you, reasons to come to like Arizona. I did that via taking a full-time role. That role ended, so back to consulting. What I like to really focus in on the defense, just because it's such a traditional U.S. type of environment, and with a lean background, there's so much. I call it's a low-hanging fruit, as they say.
Sure.
Target-rich environment to go help people and bring them along in the lean culture a little bit. And currently today, I'm helping a company, incredible group of people they've been doing development of a product, but never into production. So I'm helping them really create a production strategy, and I'll help them design the equipment and be able to take it from the lab into production. So at my point in my career, that's about as much fun as a person can have and get paid.
Okay, excellent. That sounds great. So geographically speaking, are you focused on, are you working with companies here in Phoenix, or are you sort of global, or are you national? Who are your clients?
Yeah, so global, just because of period of my life, I work for very large defense companies, which, really anymore, that's a global environment. You find yourself at meetings all over the place. And a company I worked for a while, a British company, that brought me into as a VP of operations, having 22 sites around mostly the UK and the US. So that kind of put me in that, get used to hopping on a plane and flying over to Heathrow and driving around the UK and trying to do the same thing. So today, though, I'm not getting any younger, and so I'm geographically, I came here from Huntsville. My last role was in the Huntsville area. My wife and I fell in love with the whole Appalachia world. So we're actually, our reason for being here in Phoenix is winding down, and at some point we're probably going to find some property and head back to the east. But I don't really consider myself too geographically confined. It does wear on, for what I do, I can do a lot remote, and then of course hop on a plane and go spend some time at the site. So I consider myself pretty flexible. My preference would be at this point mostly in the U.S.
Okay. But you don't plan on staying in Arizona for retirement. You want to go back to the Smoky Mountains?
I think so. I think that's a natural place for us to end up. But this is an incredible place for sure. Like I said, I have an older brother who's been here pretty much his whole adult life, and learned a lot about the area visiting, and now living in the middle of it. with the
Right.
boom. It is, we got to be one of the fastest growing metropolitan areas in the country, if not the world. And to see the people coming and the investment that's going into the area, it's quite remarkable.
Right. If it depends on the metrics you look at, but Maricopa County, I think, is amongst the fastest growing counties. Yes, if not the. Like they said, depends on what statistic you're looking at. Job growth, I think it is. You're right, which is a big one for me because I do apartment investing. But
and you see that here. I mean, it's a bit of a landlocked, even though we're in a big open desert. But they've clearly created this environment to bring a lot more people into the same space and put up the apartments.
Right. It's booming for sure. There's a lot of great quality job growth, a lot of chips and stuff. Not a lot. Well, you mentioned aerospace. There's a lot of aviation here. That's one of the resources of Arizona is clear skies.
That's true. And test ranges. I mean, a lot of the, it seems, at least in my last 10 years, missile defense has really been a big investment for the DoD. So a lot of the companies here, I've noticed through mergers and growth. Some of my past companies I work for are here now, and I visit them, and huge area for that. And then the test ranges for the government aren't terribly far away, so that draws people here as well.
Okay, right. So you mentioned aerospace as well as defense. Is that, are they kind of go hand in hand? Some of the bigger companies.
They do. It's almost it's everything's cyclical, as you know. You watch. I've been in it long enough. There was divestitures and a lot of little companies, and they all became they reintegrated the large companies, and of course, being publicly traded, they're always looking for growth. And if you're totally focused on defense, but you have these capabilities, there's always a marketing guy that says, our Boeing or Airbus or Embraer or somebody could use that, and well, let's just spin off a commercial group. And there's, I always call it highly regulated industry. So once you got the quality system and the design and the technology and the intellectual property to serve one, pretty good chance you can serve them both.
Right. And once you get there and you can check all those boxes and stuff, it's hard to not, that's a lot of value, right? It seems funny to go down and do something that doesn't have the same caliber of requirements.
Yeah, I just had this conversation with my client today, and over time, the defense world has really evolved nicely. They set much higher expectations of their supply chain than they used to. I joke about when I was growing up, it was the $500 hammer and the $2,000 Mr. Coffee, which clearly isn't true. I mean, you're designing for incredibly harsh environments, but your average person sees the price of these things and go, "Oh, that's insane."
I don't understand.
But the customer, the government, they love the small, nimble, entrepreneurial spirit of small businesses. But the minute they go to contract with them, they burn them with incredible, the FARs and DFARs, all of the legal, contractual things you sign up for. And if you're a small business, you got to look around and go, "Hey, who's going to deal with all this contractual stuff?"
Right.
So you grow, and then you add contracts people, and then you add special quality people and supply chain people. Next thing you know, you're on your way to being a big bureaucratic large business, or somebody buys you and absorbs you into their bigger company where they have all those capabilities. But I think both of those are very true for whether you're a pure commercial aerospace or defense. It's just a highly regulated industry, and you have to have the people around you to support it, or bad things can happen.
Okay. In that industry, being sort of the continuous improvement culture, what comes easy to you that others may find challenging?
Well, I guess to me, I'm an engineer, so I think it's a fault of ours. We think we can do everything or do anything. I was also gifted with a little more on the type A personality. So the hardest, management leadership is really where I focus, because, it's kind of a old cliche about, it all starts from the top, or, you got to build from the bottom up. But in reality, it's people, and you've got to be able to communicate at all levels in the organization. I feel that luckily for me, I have 30, 40 years of experience dealing with from the board of directors down to the guys on the shop floor. So I could speak the language required to reach the folks to say, do you think we can do better? And, I will say, though, the fault of that is in a company where the leadership doesn't support it, but the lower levels of the business want to go on a lean journey. There is a ceiling. There is a limit. If leadership of the company doesn't support it and lead it, at some point it plateaus and it gets stale. So to me, the fun part, the easy part, is really talking to the people, assessing, connecting the dots, finding gaps that people don't really pay much attention to. So I kind of knit all that stuff together and get people excited about going to work and doing what they do.
Okay, excellent. Well, I have one more business question for you before we start talking about more sort of like investing stuff. Is what's one of the biggest challenges you've had in your industry?
It's I would say, and I hate the word, but bureaucracy. Because it's such a highly regulated industry, and because it's a very low margin. Another word I prefer. The market revolves around profit. A lot of people say margin can be missed, but in general, it's a pretty thin margin, thin profit level business. So if something goes wrong, the impact to the stock market and the stock price and the business can be very traumatic. So as these businesses grow bigger, have the ability to have the capital to invest, to do the things that our customers want, they also are incredibly risk adverse. So the word bureaucracy, you go through 5 levels of approval. Everyone could say no, but until you get to the last person on the approval cycle, that's the only person that can say yes. So you're always fighting to prevent somebody from just saying no and stopping what you're trying to do. And so that's I see it common. I've been with a lot of large defense companies, and that bureaucratic. I understand it, but also want to train people, prevent them, have better processes so somebody can't sink the ship, and because it really stifle everybody with incredibly tight, restrictive processes and approval cycles. Nothing gets done. So I do find that to be a frustrating point at this point in my career.
Sure. I hear you. I'm sure it is. I've had a little glimpse into that just in academia, working at the universities and stuff, and seeing how, like, on new hires, right? In a committee, there'll be 6 people who love the candidate and 1 person hates them, so they don't get hired. So they end up hiring somebody that everybody thinks is okay.
You get that, yes.
It's more about just not causing waves. Seems to be better in those goofy environments instead of getting somebody who's gonna really make good progress.
Similar story, very quick. I won't mention names, but I was trying to help a company capitalize some equipment, and I had a big budget and had a lot of equipment to procure. And a lot of companies have a capital approval process. This particular one, because it was a large dollar item, they had like 20 people that you had to get through to approve the capital so that you could go spend it. And I was halfway through one of the projects. I was hand carrying stuff around and hit an individual like, I have a 2-week. I promise I will get to this in 2 weeks. I said, well, I got 20 people, so if everybody gets 2 weeks, I've run out of the runway, and I got half a year gobbled up just walking around trying to get people to approve things. So you do have to kind of encourage people to realize the big picture.
For sure.
Yeah, you got
for sure. I'll piggyback on that story. My son is trying to finish up his Eagle Scout project right now, and he for people who may not know, the deadline is when they turn 18, so they have to have that done before they turn 18, and so the clock's ticking now, and he hears it now, but he has approvals and proposals and stuff, and people aren't just ready to do it right when he wants. So he's learning the nature of those sorts of hurdles. those
Well, being
hoops?
from the Midwest, I knew a lot of folks that did that. So, and being new to this area, I'm still glad to hear that's a thing.
Yep.
That's, the Eagle Scout, that's quite an accomplishment. A lot of people aren't familiar with how much work it goes into doing that. So
Right.
I hope he makes it.
Thank you. Thank you. I think he's done. He's gone almost to the top of the mountain. He just has the final, cherry to put on top. But that's part of the lesson too. One of the neat things I like about it that I didn't appreciate before is the nature of holding positions of leadership and responsibility. They make you do it over certain amounts of time each time on purpose because they don't want you to just run through, do all your merit badges, and boom, you're done, right? It's meant to be challenging over a period of time, and that's how they build that muscle, right? That grit.
Oh, good point. It'll prepare him for a corporate life someday.
Exactly.
Very neat.
Okay. So it sounds like things are going well for you in your business. Looking towards the future, a lot of people think about trying to replace their income with passive income or enhance it, their active income. What are your thoughts on this? Do you have any plans?
Yeah, so it's funny you mentioned that. We were chatting a little bit before we started here, and what I found is that my wife and I, we've really, as kind of a hobby / necessity, we started flipping homes, and
Okay.
It's having, like I said, one of the downfalls of being an engineer, you think you can do anything. And there was several years as a young engineer, I did work evenings and weekends with a crew doing construction. So we build homes from, the ground up. So I've learned basically everything it takes. So while I have time, if I'd like to pick a home that's more on the rundown side. And
Sure.
Unfortunately, while living in it,
house hacks. That's what they call that nowadays. But yeah, that's great. If you it's not a big market right now for flipping, right? With rates and other stuff.
Well, the goal is to hold, right? So
sure. Okay.
Get the home, add $200,000-$300,000 worth of equity value in a home, and then rent it. Hold it for a period of time. It just seems at my point in my life, think about retiring someday. Maybe it's about cash flow. What are your basic needs? What are your, we like to travel, so we need some extra income for travel and money for a rainy day. So the rest is cash flow. And
right.
If it's all stock put away in the stock market and the market's down, well, you're not drawing from that and feeling very good about it. But if you can get that rent base and the home is fairly bulletproof, then the good news is you can just count on that cash flow over time to help supplement. So it just seemed like a good balance for us, and that's where we've put a lot of energy, I'd say, in about the last 8 years.
Nice. I love it. I'm a big real estate fan. So that's great. May I ask what sort of markets? Are those back in Huntsville or something?
So Florida, we actually, it kind of goes with my type of roles that I have for work. So when we do live somewhere, we'll buy I hate to say distressed property, but a property with opportunity.
An ugly home?
Yeah, the one nice thing about here is, a 30-year-old home in Arizona is like a 100-year-old home back in the Midwest. This environment's pretty hard on a home. So we were able to find a real quaint place here on a golf course. It used to be a pretty unique development, and with everything being 30 years old, there's an opportunity to do a lot of remodeling and updating. Just of course, as an engineer, I can't get my head around this, but a home in Arizona with single pane windows, and this entire development was built 30 years ago with single pane windows. That makes no sense to me. I mean,
no.
They've been making Anderson and Pella, they've been making double pane windows for 50 years. So anyway, point being, you make some upgrades, try to control the cost, be picky on who you hire, and do what you can yourself, and then you build that equity up. If get the loan to where you can pay it off, hire a company to manage the property, and just start drawing income off of it. It's just it's a path.
Yep. I've had a
Versus
number
people I know
of rentals myself. If you have a good property manager, right, and tenant selection is always important, no matter what you're renting out. But yeah, they can be great. I have friends who that's all they do, right? They have a bunch of them, and they just when the market's good, they sell some of it and refi some of it, and
yeah, with everything going on with our neighboring state here and all the trauma and bad news up in California, and it seems like that's a big flow of folks to this area anyway, comes out of California. It will be interesting to see if we have enough capacity for what could be coming. But we have property in Florida. Florida's a good strong state, and I wish we could have kept some property in the Huntsville, Alabama area.
That's a booming market too.
Growing, beautiful place, just growing. You tell people that never been to Alabama, they go, "Ooh, Alabama! You got to go there and check it out. It's pretty cool."
Right. Yeah. We put in some offers there on some apartment complexes because it's just a great market. We just at the end of last year, we closed on another one in Tennessee. This one is in Chattanooga, so right in between Atlanta and Nashville. Yeah,
that's that northwest Georgia, all the way up north of Nashville, all the way down to Huntsville. It's incredible. Little small towns like Muscle Shoals that only showed up in Leonard Skinner songs now is just a booming, because all the Nashville money flows right down to these other towns, and all the way to North Carolina. I mean, I guess heart goes out to all that amazing property and folks that got caught up in the flood and dam breaking, but hopefully they'll rebuild, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful area, great people.
Right. I love going out to Tennessee. We have a number of properties and projects in the Nashville area, and I love going to Music City. You got your guitars in the back. We talked a little bit about music earlier. They have music in the airport, live music in the airport when you come in. I love it. It's great stuff.
Yeah, it's and like I say, that culture's spilling into these other cities. Like I say, all the way far south as Huntsville, and then I mean, the property's going nuts. As you go south of Nashville, you have Franklin. You got some just incredibly wealthy areas, and more people want to live in the same space. So that makes sense that the apartments and condos and all that going up in all those places. Right. Where's the next place, by the way? That's the most important question, right?
Oh, that's always the next project is always the most fun. This will come out. This episode will air after this project is closed, so I can say some of our projects we can advertise and share with anyone. Some of them we can't. There's one in Texas, Waco, Texas. We have one that we're doing. We have a number of deals in Texas, a number of them in Nashville or Tennessee.
So you thank Chip and Joanna for taking one of the poorest cities in Texas and turning it into an incredible place to live?
Yeah, I only knew about it from the Branch Davidians, right? That was how I knew Waco until Magnolia. Is that the name of their company?
Yes.
Yeah. So
I had two children they went to Baylor, so I just of all places in the country, they ended up in Waco, and I lived in Texas, Austin, and up north of Fort Worth for a while, so I go visit them. But I've seen it was the pre-Magnolia days, and now it's hardly recognizable.
Really
beautiful area. In the university of the Baylor University, they used to call it the Baylor bubble. Everything outside of it was a little rough. It's all really, the whole area has really improved. I think it's a good destination for people now.
Nice. Yeah, they probably deserve at least a key to the city, right?
Yeah. They've rebuilt half of it by now, at least increased property value for most of it.
Right. Okay. Excellent. So, reflection question.
Yeah.
Right. Looking back, what do you wish you would have known sooner about building your wealth and success?
Life's a long-term thing. It's, I think you see stuff as you're younger, and people, you're always looking for a little faster return, and you don't, when you're 25, you don't think you're going to be 65 someday, and And you look at a 30-year-old looks at a 50-year-old as old, and then when you get there, you realize I got a lot of life ahead of me. So it really, diversity and long-term investing sides, as long as you can afford it. I worry that there's a age group of our country today that they live in the moment. They don't even want to have insurance, let alone invest in their 401ks or anything. And I do worry about that group as they get older. But I think to me it's a simple statement, but you can't go back. And so if you start something and maybe add to that a little more savvy on the stock market when I was younger, because a couple $1,000 investment in Apple and some of these other things, as I saw pop up, would have turned into pretty nice returns. So I think it's a little tougher today, but again, that means it's just going to be that much tougher 30 years from now.
Sure.
So
well,
balancing out, plan a little bit for the long term.
Yeah, plant a few more seeds earlier.
Definitely, because once you get to a certain age, it's that opportunity. Then you're looking for the quick home runs.
Right. Okay. Well, if people would like to connect with you or learn more, what should they do, Dean?
So I have a website. It's a long one. It's tangibleimprovement.com. Simple. My name, Dean Cantrill at yahoo.com is an email. I'm more than happy. I get hundreds of emails a day. I got to sort through to make sure I keep the important ones. But I would say those are two easy ways to reach out to me. And of course, through LinkedIn, which is, I think, how we met. So that's a pretty safe space to send somebody a message. And I don't get nearly as many crazy emails or messages in LinkedIn. So I'm easy to find. There's not too many Dean Cantrills out there. So,
do you have an album you've cut anywhere?
No, no album.
It sounds like you should have an album, and Dean Cantrill. It really does. All right. Well, thank you everybody for watching, listening. Thank you very much, Dean, for joining me today.
Enjoyed it. Thank you for inviting me.
All right. We appreciate you sharing your story and insights into success and impact in Phoenix and elsewhere. And well, gosh, I guess
not as I do.
Right. All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody.
Inspired by our guests? Visit PhoenixProsperityPodcast.com/guest and join us on the show and share your success story with Tim. The spotlight awaits.